Hi guys, Shaz here. So we're going to talk about how much you should have saved up and by what age. But before we get into this, I'm going to give you a breakdown. So first of all, I'm going to talk about if you haven't got any debt, that's great. If you've got some, get rid of it. Then how much you should have saved by age 20, age 30, age 40, age 50, and what you should be doing at those milestones as well. But before we go any further, give us a like, please, because I'm about to help you and I want you to help me up. So go on, click that like button, go ping, and let's get on with it. Right, so how much should you have saved up by the age of 20? Well, I've been doing some research, right, and it looks like by the age of 20, the average person is 20,000 in debt. If you're not 20,000 in debt, there's a pat on the back for you, right? First of all, let's see why people are 20,000 in debt. It's because of further education. People who go to university in the UK or college in the USA, they go and get debt to finance their education, right? So that's why on average people are 20,000 in the negative. The first thing I recommend is if you're around that age and you have a negative 20,000 and you're a student, go and get a part-time job. Start paying that debt off now. It will stand you really well in life. If you're already doing that, let's cut down on some expenses. I would recommend, right, saving 20% of whatever you earn in an ISA or a Roth IRA in the USA. So now we're going to go on to the age 30. But before we get there, what you need to do is upskill yourself in your 20s. Save 20% a year from this age of 18, 20, 25, and by the time you get to 30, you should have 2 years salary saved up. You're going to achieve this by, in your 20s, starting to do some investing in the stock market, buying a property and renting it out, growing a business. Some of you might be thinking, oh Shaz, you know what, that seems really hard and I don't want to do that. If you get to the age of 30, right, and you're getting paid 25,000 a year, you need to have around 50,000 saved up. That's not what all the research and everybody else says, that's my opinion. The world and research and Google and everybody else is saying is you should have 1 year's salary saved up. But don't forget, this channel is about leveling you up. If I was to tell you to be average, then you would just end up average. I'm telling you, no, don't die average, level up and let's have the best life we can. In your 20s, you're basically learning to ride the bicycle of life, right? And if you really go at it, by the age of 30, you should really know what you're doing, you should be good at it, and now you should be able to command an even bigger salary. When you get to your 30s, you should have bought a house by now. Because I know a lot of people say houses are a liability, but you know, in most countries you can buy a house, you can live it near yourself, you can get a tenant, and that tenant can pay you something tax-free. It not only becomes a liability, it becomes an asset as well. That is how I recommend to a lot of people. There's one guy saying to me, I've bought a house in London, right, and it's a 3-bedroom house and me and the missus live in it and we've got 1 child. So him and his wife are taking up 1 bedroom, the child is taking up another one, and they've got a spare bedroom in London pretty close to a hospital. I said, get a doctor, a student doctor, to take that other spare room if you feel comfortable with it. And if you don't feel comfortable with having a man in the house, ask a lady doctor or a nurse and they will pay some amazing amounts of rent. Next, by the time you get to age 40, right, I reckon you should have 5 times your yearly salary saved up. And again, you might think, Shaz, that is extremely hard. How am I going to manage that? If you've been saving all the way from 20 to 40, right, and you've been getting a return of like 7%, that's not going to be very hard. In fact, if you were doing a Shaz and it was extreme, I would be like, you should have 10 times your salary saved up, right? So imagine you're 40 years old and you get paid 50,000 a year, you should have 500,000 pounds. Or if you're 40 years old and you get paid 40,000 a year, you should have 400,000. And I know a lot of people behind this camera will be thinking, wow, that's a lot of money. If you don't overspend on cars, you don't overspend on luxuries, it's not very hard, because the compound return of the stock market helps you like so much. So I'll go back to one of my other points, right guys? In your 30s, right, get a side hustle. Now you've become really good at it, you should have honed all your skill, right? Start something, and you know, any extra money you get, save it away. Put that money into the stock again. Let me explain it. Say you're 25, right? You get paid 25,000 a year and all of a sudden you get 30,000 a year. You know what to do. Take that 5,000, put it straight into the stock market. Do that for 2 or 3 years, because you know why? All of a sudden you're not going to miss it. If for 2 years you put that like 5,000 a year away, that's 10,000. And if you watch that 10,000 from the age of 25 to the age of 65 when you retire, I'm going to put something on there now that you're going to see what happens to that specific 10,000 at a 7% return. And now we're getting to age 50. Guys, you should have been saving for a long time now. You should be in senior management. Your salary should be up there. You know what? You're getting pretty close to retirement now, because 50 to 65 is only 15 years left. At this stage, I reckon you should have enough saved that on your 7% annual return, you should be able to extract your expenses. I'm going to break this down now, right? Imagine at 50, you were getting paid like 40,000 a year, but that's your salary, that's not your expenses, right? And you could live on 25,000 a year. Those are your expenses. Now, when you get to 50, you should have so much saved that it's basically at a 7% return, making you 25,000 a year. So at 50, if you've got 358,000 saved up and you're getting a 7% return on that, that is 25,000 a year. So that's the kind of money that you need to be aiming for as a minimum. Then it's not about how much you get paid or how much you save, it's about how much you'll be spending in the future. So in the future, if you think you're going to be able to spend 25,000 a year, that's all you basically need to never have to work again. Yeah, but the more you have, the better it is. You know, for me, the more I have, I do some charity, I help extended family, and I do a lot of luxurious things as well, right? I haven't worked this hard not to be able to do this. But for you, I want a better life, and that's why I'm telling you to do all of these things. So, like and subscribe, don't die average, and see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.